Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not pitching movies based on old Hanna-Barbera shows with the hook being, but they kill people, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. Speaking of which, I got a movie pitch for you guys, Captain Caveman, but he kills people. Huh? Great idea, right? Well, somebody at Warner Brothers seems to think so, because that's exactly how we now have a totally necessary Banana Splits horror movie. Before I get into that though, I just want to give a quick plug to the new Popbase app available to download for free on Android and finally iOS. In the Popbase app, you can interact with the virtual me, who will give you thoughts on various topics, quiz you on horror, show you exclusive picks, treat you to some commentary on videos, and there's even a few games to play. You can also unlock stuff to decorate the Wolfula and send me questions or suggestions that I can answer in the app. The app is still in the early phases, so there are a lot of cool features coming soon that I've been discussing with the developer, and I'll update Popbase with new content on a daily and weekly basis. Just so you know, this video wasn't sponsored by Popbase. I just want to make sure people are trying it out, especially since I'm one of the first channels to be in it. Back to the Banana Splits movie, though. If you aren't a fucking boomer, or didn't see the reruns on Cartoon Network or Boomerang, the Banana Splits was a live-action kids show made by Hanna-Barbera in the 60s that depicted a band composed of costumed animals designed by the notoriously psychedelic Sid and Marty Krofft. The Banana Splits drove around a theme park and would perform songs, skits, and other hijinks on a wacky-looking soundstage. The show was mostly remembered for its catchy theme song, which was covered by the Dickies, but the series was otherwise short-lived. The Banana Splits were just glorified wraparound segments between cartoons, though in syndication, a shorter version of the show was put out without the cartoons and just the split segments. Okay, now that you're familiarized with the show, you're probably wondering, why was this made into a direct-to-video horror movie in the year of our Lord 2019? Well, I guess Warner Brothers was gonna make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie for the kids, but that switched hands to Blumhouse. Simultaneously, we have Warner Brothers production company Blue Ribbon Content, who put out the Daphne and Velma movie and seemed dedicated to sifting through the Warner back catalog of IPs for potential film opportunities, found the Banana Splits and decided to apply the Five Nights at Freddy's formula to try to make it relevant. I mean, in retrospect, pretty much any children's entertainment back in the day is extremely creepy by itself, especially Sid and Marty Krofft shit. It seems, though, that the blue ribbon you'd see at the start of Looney Tunes is not the seal of quality it once was when you see it at the start of shit like this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I watched the Banana Splits, but it's not like I'm a super fan of them or anything. I mean, sure, I do own all of their DVDs and albums and assorted merchandise, but besides that, I could care less about the Banana Splits, honestly. Still, I feel this movie's existence is pretty unfortunate because it is just sort of pissing on the legacy of Hanna-Barbera for a meager profit. Before I get into the review, I'm gonna say up front that the movie does not make a good case for it using the Banana Splits instead of some original children's entertainment created for the movie. The film makes a lot of changes to the concept of the Banana Splits and is written assuming that its viewers know nothing about the original show anyway. Stuff like this movie has been done before to Hanna-Barbera properties. Adult Swim was built off the backs of once obscure Hanna-Barbera shows like Space Ghost, Birdman, and Sealab 2020. But the difference between those classic Adult Swim updates and this Banana Splits movie is that those shows were clever, funny reimaginings. This Banana Splits movie is just the Banana Splits are killers because they look kinda creepy, and Five Nights at Freddy's was successful. It's just depressing. Let's get to the actual review though, and see if this movie was really worth rudely awakening the Banana Splits from their eternal slumber. Before I get to the plot, I gotta point out that the movie opens with a remake of the Banana Splits' intro, and it's the first sign of this movie's lack of effort. The original show's intro had all kinds of wacky stunts and skits with a very energetic vibe to it. The 2019 film's version of the intro is this low-energy version where the Banana Splits slowly and carefully move around, shot in a very static way. If you told me that this film was instead a porn parody of the Banana Splits based on this intro alone, I'd be disturbed that it existed, but not surprised based on the quality of this material. Like, it's just immediately depressing that a 60s kids show, as crude as it was, can easily upstage a film made in 2019. Like, are you not sad about this? Because I'm more sad than angry, to be honest. This fucking sucks. The half-assed intro's only purpose is to establish the actual Banana Splits in their show, because no other part of the movie really sets up the Banana Splits otherwise, and all you really learn about them here is their names. Flegel the Beagle, Bingo the Ape, Trooper the lion, and Snorky the elephant. Make no mistake though, despite the same names and similar but chintzier costumes, these banana splits are still very different from the ones you're maybe familiar with. This movie has a bit of an alternate universe take on the banana splits. They were created by Taft Studios, not Hanna-Barbera. Their show isn't just wraparound segments for cartoons. The Banana Splits is a standalone series with an actual audience instead of a laugh track, complete with Nickelodeon game show-like participation segments. There's a human character on the show nobody likes named Stevie.
Is that man dressed like a child?
That's Stevie. Nobody really likes him.
Finally, this Banana Split show hasn't been canceled yet, and as anachronistic as it is, has been running for 50 years uninterrupted apparently. These are pretty big alterations, and make a good case of this movie just using the Banana Splits name for some vague recognition value, but these aren't the most egregious elephants in the room regarding the splits in this movie, which I'm gonna get to soon. And no, I'm not talking about Snorky. Despite this being the Banana Splits movie, this movie isn't really about them. It's about the Williams family, the youngest of which, Harley, is obsessed with the Banana Splits and has a birthday coming up, so his folks have gotten him tickets to a taping of the show.
Another surprise for you. We
are going to the Banana Splits.
Harley's ma, Beth, is a nice, loving mother, which is contrasted by Harley's stepdad, Mitch.
There's not too many kids his age that still like that show.
It's because it's stupid, Beth.
Who's just a total asshole, contemptuous towards his entire family.
Harley was almost hit by a banana buggy.
Jesus, that'd be an embarrassing way to die.
So you know he's gonna survive to the end. Also joining the birthday celebration is Harley's older brother, Austin, a 19-year-old burnout, and Zoe, a classmate of Harley's who not only doesn't like the Banana Splits, but doesn't like Harley. Though she does go to great lengths to try to convince Harley she likes the Banana Splits, and I guess him.
Which one's your favorite? The cat. There isn't a cat.
She means the trooper, the lion.
Now, it wouldn't be much of a horror flick without some padding out of the body count. So, once at Taft Studios, the film sets up a cast of supporting victims attending the show that makes this feel like fucking Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. There's a pushy dad trying to get his daughter noticed by producers of the show.
I just paid $70 for that blowout and straighten up.
And then there's an out-of-place adult couple who are supposed to be influencers who want to live stream themselves at the show.
We're here at the Taft Studios, the home of the Banana Split since 1969.
That's it for the audience characters, though. Making fun of teen divas and influencers is as creative as they could get.
Parker, do the thing.
What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside your trunk?
Stop. That is disturbing.
The rest of the cast is comprised of a producer of the Banana Splits and a Paige who is literally named Paige.
Paige the Page. Guess you could say I was born to do this job.
The drama comes in when the producer is told by the new vice president of programming that the Banana Splits is being canceled, despite it supposedly still being a huge hit.
We're still a huge hit.
Yeah, but it's old and stupid.
I guess that's as deep of a reason any other executive would have for canceling a show. Basically, the show that the Williams family watches will be the final show ever. But they do get special tickets to have a meet and greet after hours with the Banana Splits. All fine and good, but you're probably wondering where the horror comes in. Well, it's revealed that the Banana Splits are actually highly sophisticated robots in crude animal costumes invented by a mad Australian scientist.
Someone's reflex subroutine needs a little tweaking.
Anyway, you'd think the Splits being robots would be this big, insidious secret on Taft Studios' part, but it isn't. Everybody knows that the Banana Splits are robots. It's an accepted thing. No attempt is made towards giving the Banana Splits a backstory of any kind. Why they're robots instead of just guys in costumes is never explained, which is so strange given the fact that, even though this movie takes place in the present, the Splits have been around since the 60s.
Okay, Stevie.
I suppose the reason why the writer doesn't explain why this movie is ripping off Five Nights at Freddy's is either due to the absurdity of a kid's show from the 60s employing high-tech robots, or more likely a general lack of creativity. Probably the latter. I covered Sand Sharks recently, and even that movie went to great lengths to try to explain how a shark could live in sand. So the Banana Splits movie isn't just a rip-off, it's a lazy rip-off, the worst kind. Honestly, the Banana Splits didn't need to be fucking Terminators. The idea of deranged men and animals animal suits going on a killing spree is scarier than the unlikely idea of advanced robots being used by a kids show instead of the military. Honestly, in this case, why would they make the show about animals when it could just be about robots? Just be direct. So, of course, the Splits turn evil. The exact reasoning for their turn to the dark side isn't clear. It's a mix of their show being cancelled and, I guess, them bugging out, along with a faulty update given to them by their inventor. It all feels a bit like that Itchy and Scratchy Land episode of The Simpsons, I have to say. Of course, the banana splits go straight to murdering people, splitting up, and getting even with those who have wronged them, the adults keeping them from their young audience. The splits mostly execute their mayhem in an exhibitionistic way, treating their massacre as if they're doing a show, and you'd think that there would be some creative kills with that, but no, not really. The influencer dude, for instance, is cut in half by Fleagle for real in one of those saw-in-half trick boxes, but it's not great, since the very nature of the trick is that you don't see the saw going in. You do see some guts sliding out, but they don't look very good. Many of the other kills are just whatever, like a dad's head getting set on fire or Stevie deep-throating a lollipop. There was a lot of potential for this to be a very over-the-top gore fest. Seeing as the splits are into slapstick comedy, you'd think they could translate to splat-stick horror well, but it's just sort of blah, and there are a lot of survivors at the end too. This movie's a little too precious with its forgettable characters. It's disappointing too, because Eric Bauza, the voice of all the banana splits in this movie, does a great job imitating the original voices, especially with his Drooper impression totally sounding like Paul Winchell's Tigger voice.
He took it down to Hammertown. 3 cheers for Rebecca! Hip hip hooray!
But the splits are mostly eerily silent throughout the film. The banana splits were really chatty on the original show, but barely ever speak in the movie, even when interacting with other characters, and I guess the makers of the film wanted to maintain some sense of mysterious creepiness, but come on, they're the banana splits, not Michael Myers. If these characters are gonna be murderers, they should be more like Freddy Krueger or Chucky, and the film does give some glimpses of that. But it feels like the movie tries its best to pull that back. It's too bad, because otherwise the banana splits just come off as identical automatons wearing different costumes with little personality separating them. Without going into big spoilers, the only markedly different split is Snorky for certain reasons during the predictable climax of the film. The movie makes a lot of concessions for the sake of its villains, who are in reality real dudes who have to wear these bulky costumes with limited field of vision and dim lighting, so the splits never have to chase their victims or do anything too physically demanding. The banana splits are also just very inconsistent in what they can manage to do. They apparently have the strength to tear somebody limb from limb, but their punches aren't lethal, and they struggle to strangle a small woman. The original banana splits were surprisingly athletic, but these killer ones come off as really lethargic murderers, not genuine threats. Because the movie is so cheap and shot so lazily, there's not a lot of room for exciting things to happen. Despite it taking place on a big soundstage, the location feels very constrained. The Banana Splits movie is just a very boring horror flick, and the film should have been insane and wacky given the premise, but it just has a surprisingly dour tone. The only real standout performers that I can point out are the child actors, surprisingly. Harley is portrayed as this sweet kid who's a huge fan of these characters that turn into killers before his very eyes. You feel bad about the boy being subjected to the events of this movie, and it feels like Zoe's actress has fun playing a smart-ass kid.
Was something supposed to happen? When Drooper does it, we'll let her shoot it. Well, there's nothing here.
Beth, the mom, is sympathetic, but the movie spends quite a bit of time on a traumatic subplot involving the stepdad cheating that really just feels like out-of-place melodrama in a Banana Splits horror movie.
And she defends you, and she tells me to give you a chance? And the whole time you've been cheating on her?
Also, Beth is supposed to be a good mom, but she lets her son wander a dark movie studio at night unsupervised? Like, honestly, how can I give a shit about her after that? The stark realism that the movie for some reason tries to drive at is soon after contrasted by the mom going into full-on Ripley badass action lady to try to save her sons. You can tell that this lady can kick ass because her shirt was ripped off, revealing a more practical tank top. Oh, you get it, girl.
Time's almost up.
For you.
Everything from this point on is highly predictable standard horror shit that I could just spoil, but I'll leave you to decide if you want to watch the movie or not. Overall, the Banana Splits movie is just a cookie-cutter horror adaptation of a kids' TV show, made to capitalize on an unrelated video game series. Honestly, you're more likely to be scared watching an actual episode of the show than this movie. I give the Banana Splits movie a Stevie out of Snorky. Next, we're gonna have a hard R version of the Flintstones where Fred sells crystal meth. Just imagine the rock puns you can make with that. If you like this video, like it, but if you loved it, subscribe for more and click the bell icon to keep track of future uploads and streams. Also, be sure to follow me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. If you'd like to hang out with a virtual me, download the free Popbase app on iOS and Android today. Finally, if you can, support me by pledging to my Patreon, where you can get bonus streams and other goodies. I'd like to give a shout out to the following platinum supporters of my Patreon. Thank you BennyBoy5001, Spaceman, Jesus Perez, Michael Blanchard, Tom Wade, Melanie Newtley, Anthony Bonchewski, Sean O'Brien, Willie Grills, Mr. Maskey, Angsty Mantis, Crossroad King, Eddie De La Cruz Huerta, The Evil Gimp, and Gary Miller. And here's a full list of all of my platinum supporters on Patreon. The channel would be nothing without their support, and it's greatly appreciated. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart. I've been your host, Dr. Wolfula, signing out. See you all next time.
What's up, you guys? It's your boy Thad, Mr. Thadtastic to all my fans.